It really annoys me when women are cruel to men when they're rejecting. Like a guy's like complimenting you essentially, like, hey, I find you attractive. I want to get to know you more. Like, why be cruel to him? That really frustrates me. It's something I want women to work on. And this woman, she has such a rant against that. We're going to play that in a moment, but I just want to start by telling a personal story. When I was really young, like 13 or 14, there was a girl on the bus that I really, really liked. And I was so in my delusional fantasy world. I had obviously read into a bunch of these these situations and behaviors from her that I was like, there's something reciprocal going on here. There's something unspoken, that little glance, that that eye contact, that movement or whatever. And I remember the day where I was like, I think I'm ready to make my move. And I looked at her with like a slightly long, prolonged eye contact, like ready to establish that intimacy. And I'm thinking, all right, this is it. This beautiful girl, I could have a girlfriend at the end of this. And she just did this to me. Like, she just looked me straight in the eye and pulled me the finger. And I got off at the next stop, and I just felt like I'd been punched in the gut. I couldn't believe it, because I had existed in this fantasy world where I was like, this is going so well. And I was like, I am so delusional. I have no idea what's going on. She's not interested in me. She has contempt for me, as expressed by the fact that before I even spoke to her, she just like, you're fucking less than human. Fuck you, like right wow. To me. I could not believe it. And that kind of cruelty, I think, is what we're gonna see this woman speak about here. Let's check out this.
It is so funny to see how mad women get when a woman gets shut down by a hot guy, the exact same way that hot women shut men down. Girls up here in the comments like, a simple "I'm not interested" would have sufficed. Yeah? Really? You don't keep that energy when men approach you. You'll gladly tell him, nah, I'm not getting my heart broken by someone under 6'4". You look like you have little dick energy. I only date buff men. And then y'all see a guy say, nah, I'm not interested because I only date attractive people, and y'all lose it. I lost it. A simple "I'm not interested" would have sufficed. No. Remember, we don't owe men anything. So what the makes you think that they owe us a certain type of response, huh? Y'all ladies reacted the exact same way that men do, yet none of you stop to think to yourselves, huh?
It's awful to watch. It's so embarrassing. I cringed so badly on her behalf, all those voices. But it was interesting when I came across this clip. I was like, whoa, look at somebody actually, calling out the hypocrisy. So my personal distaste of this woman in that clip aside, I want to have this discussion about women being cruel to men when they are rejecting them. Like, you've heard my story. Have you ever been rejected by a woman, Matt, in like a really like cruel, dehumanizing way? We're going to hear about Matt's experiences with rejection in just a moment, but first I want to tell you about the sponsor of today's video, Tiege Hanley. Let's talk about aging and what causes it. Why do you look older with every passing year? Is it just time? Well, that's part of it, but it's also what's happening during that time, particularly to your skin. You've probably noticed that people age differently based on their self-care. Like, you might say, oh, he looks really good for his age, or wow, he's aged a lot, So the question you've got to ask yourself is, do you want to be a young-looking 40-year-old or an old-looking 40-year-old? Every day, your skin is under attack from all of these airborne chemicals and particles that clog up your pores, and they contribute to the aging process. But don't just passively let that happen. Fight back. Fight for your skin. Fight for your youth. Tiege Hanley is the solution. It's affordable, it's high quality, it's really easy to use. The boxes come with these instruction cards that tell you how much of the cream, when to use it, what time to use it, how much to use. It's perfect for the lazy man who wants good skin but doesn't want to think. They even ship it directly to your door, and if you live inside the United States, they'll ship it to you for free. There's no reason not to try it. It's time to sort out your skin, fellas. And because Tiege Hanley is sponsoring this video, they're giving my audience an amazing deal. You get the starter box for 30% off, plus they're going to throw in an extra gift. All you need to do is click on the link in the description box below, and you get access to that amazing deal. Okay, let's get back to the video. Let's talk to Matt about his experiences of rejection and find out if women have ever been cruel to him.
No, I've been very lucky, in fact, to have most of my rejections be very well articulated, kind, and usually total bullshit. The classic things that women say, like, I'm not interested in a relationship. Oh, I just don't have those eyes for you. Like, there's clever turns of phrases that people say when they really mean you're too ugly, you're not buff enough, you don't make enough money. Like, they'll put it in these coded ways, and it's for a purpose. It's because women are not confrontation seeking and they don't want to piss off potentially unstable men. So it actually has a function. This is why women are better liars and better detectors of liars, is because they need to be.
Women are not going to be cruel in their rejection of men who they might genuinely fear because the man is superior to them in terms of perhaps like physical like status, you know, like he's like a potential danger or he seems like unstable, you know, there's something just about him that's potentially like too masculine. And so therefore you need to tiptoe around him. For men who are not masculine enough, like low quality men who hit on women, women are not scared of those men. And it's fascinating to see how women will treat those kinds of men because women can be extremely cruel when rejecting men that they view as beneath them when they don't fear those men. I went on Reddit and I found this list of men talking about, what have we got here? What is the most cruel way that you have been rejected by a woman? I just wanted to hear from real people. Like, what are some stories of guys who are perhaps not the most masculine or high quality? What are some things that women have said to them so that it can provide some context for this discussion? Because I really want to get into the psychology of why women are this cruel. But let's just hear some real world examples first. I had a girl that said that she didn't see Asian men as men. She tried to play it off as a joke after she realized how ridiculous that statement is.
Jesus.
Some folks have no filter when they're drunk. I've gotten, "You're Indian? Ew," once. Unbelievable.
This is making me sad. I'm
really
very sad all of a sudden. Yeah.
In a club once, my friend had been talking to some girls, so he came and got me to introduce me to them. He got as far as "this is" before the girl looked at my friend, shook her head, turned around, ice cold.
Wow.
I mean, it's the instances when you really aren't viewed as human, I suppose, like the basic dignity that you just afford, like, hey, like we're part of the same species on this planet. We both have existence to deal with. Let's just be basically kind to each other. It's like, no, you've shown sexual interest in me. Okay, no. Nothing. And we will get into the exploration of why women feel the need to do this in the moment. But sorry, what were you going to say, Matt?
Well, I was going to say that, I mean, so much of modern dating is reduced to face on a screen. Nope. Face on a screen. Okay. Face on a screen. Nope. Like, it's just, imagine doing that in real life. Someone walks up with a smile, a great smile. They spend hours cultivating this beautiful presentation because it's professional photos. And they're just like, "Hi, do you like me?" And you just go, "Meh," like while you're on the toilet. Like it's so, we are programming and shoving down this instinct for dehumanization with these apps. And it's such a shame that people don't realize that.
That is such a fascinating insight. I think you're exactly right. It's she's thinking that she's in Tinder in real life and she's just like swiping on this guy. It's like, "Hey, do you want to match with me?" She's like, "Nope." So sad. Listen to this one. A coworker came up to me and told me to not even think of asking her out. I wasn't going to, but thanks for randomly telling me how much I apparently suck. I posted this one before. I was not even looking to be with anyone else because I was with my longtime girlfriend who I'm now married to. I was covering the Saturday shift in the IT department when some girl comes over and tells me that she would never go out with me because she doesn't date freaks. I found out that it was my coworker was the one who was inquiring about this girl.
Oh, wow. So someone else that she had thought it was him and then dished up an insult. That's terrible.
Even so, like these words that we use, like freak, it's designed specifically to remove that basic human status. Like, am I a human man? No, you're a freak. And when you strip somebody of their humanity, then you're able to justify all kinds of cruelty. And I don't want to engage in too much hyperbole here, but I think there's an underlying psychological similarity between the cruelty that sometimes women will display with men who they view as beneath them, subhuman, and the strategy used by military generals in a war zone where they encourage really racist nicknames about their enemy, you know, like in Vietnam or Iraq, they come up with these awful slurs, and it's designed to try and radicalize the soldiers into actually pulling that trigger. Because you've probably heard that statistic that only like 1 in 10 soldiers actually pulls the trigger when the time comes. Like historically, it's very difficult to actually convince humans to try and kill other humans. And so you've got to try and strip them of that humanity. And here we're seeing examples of women who are talking to men that they don't really consider to be human. And this is the final one I've got here. A girl once said she had a phobia of me. I wasn't hitting on her, hadn't even talked to her, so I guess she had to make the cunt quota for that evening or something. In the first instance, let's just acknowledge that there are non-gender specific reasons why people can be cruel to other people, and you can see this from men as well. When somebody is beneath you in terms of power, it can get you a temporary ego boost and a feeling like you're in control of the universe. To kick somebody when they're down, it usually indicates a personality disorder. And so sometimes when a woman's being like a real bitch and just being awful and cruel to a guy who liked her, sometimes that's as simple as it gets. She's just a nasty person who really feels good inflicting suffering on other people. But that's not gender specific. There are reasons that particularly relate to her being a woman why she's cruel to men. And that's what I want to discuss first.
One of the reasons why she might do that is because she's taking something out on him that's actually about somebody else. Women can certainly take out pain from previous men on new men and feel that sense of power. That's one reason I can think of. But I know there is another one, which I learned from a video of yours, and it's about how she's signaling to other men around her.
Absolutely. So let's take it back to the tribal context for a moment, because you understand this modern day like Tinder and things like that, and us living in these mega cities, that's really, really different to how we actually evolved these kind of instincts. The way that we still are wired, it still relates to a hunter-gatherer kind of tribe of 100, 150 kind of people. And in that instance, like, just imagine what it's like to be a woman and to have your eye, your hypergamous dating eye on that top guy in the tribe, right? You want to appear to him as though you are the top girl in the tribe. And so everything that you do, the way that you act, the way that you carry yourself is designed as a signal to him, like, recognize me as your equal, as your best choice, and then choose me. And you're going to be extremely upset at anybody who shatters that illusion, anybody who speaks to you or interacts with you in such a way that doesn't reinforce this image of you being this high quality girl. And so what happens when Mr. Low quality guy comes along and in front of everybody in the tribe is like, hey, I really like you, we should mate together, we should go out, whatever the tribal equivalent is, I don't necessarily know. She experiences a very real visceral panic, okay? Because she's worried, like, oh my God, who is seeing this? What is this doing to my reputation, to my image? Isn't it obvious to everybody that I'm the top quality girl here and that this guy is far beneath me? But look, he's approached me as though he has a chance, as though we're equals, as though this could possibly happen. Everybody around watching this might suddenly be wondering, like, maybe she's not actually as high quality as we thought if he thinks that he has a chance with her. And this explains the unnecessarily cruel rejection, because what she needs to do is destroy that myth, that mythical reality where the two of them are equals, with such force that it's not going to do any danger to her reputation. And so she's like, are you kidding? I would never go out with you. And she storms off. It sucks to be the guy who got rejected, but do you see, from a self-survival preservation perspective, she has actually preserved her reputation and she keeps intact her high-quality status, because now everybody who's seen this is like, right, that guy was completely delusional and even attempting to be with this girl. And so her prospects, her hypergamy prospects to be with that top guy, they remain intact. And the cruelty is actually necessary to really drive home that point. If she just was like, oh, you're so sweet, let me think about it, maybe, but probably not. It's like, oh, look, it still seems as though it could have been a viable prospect. She had to be cruel.
Can I share a very funny piece of male psychology trivia?
Yeah.
When men see pictures of women who are attractive and the woman's looking at the man making eye contact, he feels dopamine, right? I think it's dopamine. He feels good, essentially. When he sees a picture of her looking away, there's a dip in dopamine. Now, take a picture of an unattractive woman. If she is looking away, he gets dopamine. And if she is looking at him, then he feels bad. So actually, there's physiological unconscious reactions of when someone is looking at us. If they're attractive, we like it. And if they're unattractive, we actively dislike it. It's very kind of cruel and hilarious in some way. And I'm sure the exact same goes for women. Oh, maybe more so.
Probably even to a greater degree. That's a fascinating piece of data. Thank you for sharing that. And to return at the moment for that signal to other men strategy, I did want to share the results of this scientific study. I actually have brought it up on my channel before, but we'll go through a little bit more of the detail on it, because this study actually confirms what I was just talking about in terms of my evolutionary reasoning, like the theories that I was talking about before. It's called resisting connection following social exclusion. Rejection by an attractive suitor provokes derogation of an unattractive suitor. And in this study, what they did was they gave women like pictures of attractive men and unattractive men, and they said, hey, this attractive man, he wants to meet up with you. And then they'd show them like an unattractive man. And it's like, now this unattractive man also wants to meet up with you. And then it's like, no, this attractive man rejected you, but the unattractive guy still wants to meet up with you. Like, and how do you respond? Do women say yes, and they're given the opportunity to like be kind and to accept the advances, or to derogate that other person? And so the basic theory, I suppose, that's common sense to a lot of people is that if a woman has just been rejected by an attractive man, then in the aftermath of that, her self-esteem is going to be suffering so much that she's going to be grateful for any attention that she gets. And the unattractive man who comes along and says, hey, he might not like you, but I like you, she's going to be like, oh, good. Like, I see my standards were too high. I've reevaluated. I'm grateful to have the positive attention from you. And the results are the opposite of that. Women were way crueler to the men, the unattractive men who were hitting on them, after being rejected by an attractive man. So I've highlighted some of the points of this study that I want to read out here. People selectively disidentify with social entities that reflect poorly on them. So a hot girl is going to be crueler to an ugly guy because she doesn't want that identification. Research has shown that individuals derogate and distance themselves from others who exhibit a negative quality to avoid the perception that they share this undesirable trait. And distancing may be especially prevalent when the need for a sense of self-worth is strong, such as following a rejection. This is what women are going through. The rejection may heighten the desire to distance oneself from others who reflect negatively on the self, such as those with low social value. And in the discussion of the results, participants who were rejected by the attractive man were also relatively uninterested in meeting the unattractive man and derogated him even when he was accepting. Being rejected by the attractive man appeared to make participants less willing to affiliate with the unattractive man and more inclined to evaluate him harshly. This interpretation is not the case that rejection by an unattractive man stimulated derogation and distancing from the attractive man. So it doesn't flow both ways, you see? Like, just to explain to anybody in the audience who didn't get that, if a woman has been rejected by an unattractive man, that doesn't mean that she's now going to be more cruel to the attractive man. It doesn't flow both ways. But if she's been rejected by the attractive man, then she is going to be more cruel to the unattractive man in the aftermath.
This reminds me of this concept called displacement. If you've heard of this in psychology, it's essentially when you're passing on inflicting of pain from someone that did something to you, you pass it downwards. So the boss punishes the man punishes, like, attacks the wife attacks the child kicks the dog, and the dog thrashes the chew toy. Like, it's this chain of just dominating whatever's beneath you because you've been dominated from above. And it reminds me a lot of this.
It speaks to that dark part of human psychology where we are comfortable punching down